Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and in today's video we're going to be installing a backup camera on this first generation 2004 Toyota Tacoma. Now, in this install we're going to show you how to install that camera on an existing aftermarket radio. Let's get started. Alright, so here at the bench, the camera that we're going with is this AutoVox camera. It's a license plate mountable camera, which comes with this bracket where this will rest back behind the license plate. So now, to accommodate this camera in that location, it does come with quite a bit of wiring. Essentially here it's going to carry the video signal for what the camera sees and runs it all the way up to your aftermarket radio. The radio that we're installing is a Pioneer touchscreen DVD radio, so it's going to display the image of our camera today. Without further ado, let's go and prep our harness here. What we like to do here in the garage is split loom our harness, so as we run this up underneath the truck itself, it gives it a little bit more protection for rocks and mud and water and things like that. So what we've done here is we begin preparing our camera wiring. Now, what we've done is we've done some split looming here. This camera, the way it's designed is the camera itself plugs into your main module. Now the module has a switch for either regular or mirror. I guess normal or mirror. We want to keep it on mirror as we want to replicate like a rear view mirror, hence why we have a rear view camera. Then this plugs into this guy, and remember it has your power harness that comes off and your video black wire that goes all the way up the radio itself. What we're going to do with that is we actually branch that off. Our power wire harness is going to go this way. We split loom just a short hair, and this is going to go up to the reverse light of the truck, at least that cavity. In this, we also included another black wire because we're going to hook our camera up to accessory. We won't have another wire available to use for our trigger, so we're going to add another 18 gauge wire with our run. We ran that along here, and it goes down through here. As you can see, we have two wires. There's our trigger wire, and we'll run that all the way forward along with our video wire to back behind the radio. So we split loomed not all of it, but the majority of it. So as we run it along the frame rail or the factory loom up underneath the truck, we can zip tie it, and this split loom will give our wire a little bit more protection. So we're about done here. We're going to move this giant heat shrink that came with the camera up and over this junction area. We'll shrink it down with the heat gun. It just protects this guy a little bit more, and we'll start running wiring within the truck itself. Alright, so we went ahead and mounted our camera there. That's all good to go. Fed the wire up and over the top of the bumper, up underneath. Up underneath here, that's where it comes out. Everything's nice and split loomed. We had some extra wiring here, so we just zip tied that up. And then right above here is where our heat shrunk connector is. And remember, it splits into two ways. So this side is where our power and ground for our camera and our trigger wire for the camera goes up through that split loom up into this cavity. That's where the tail light is, and we're going to tap into the reverse light, power and ground. Then the other length goes forward along the frame rail of the truck, and we zip tied it along the way, moving it forward, again following the factory wiring. Continue along there, up and over the rear differential and axle. Now it's easier to access this from the inner fender, but we fed it by the spare tire up and over here, and then just fished it down through here, pulled along by the gas tank along the factory loom here, moving it all the way along, continued along the factory loom, zip tying it. Then we make a right hand turn along the factory loom and come out right there, and that's where we'll pass our wire through into the inside of the cabin, where we'll continue to run it to the cavity of the radio. So what we need to do is go top side and find the top of that grommet. We're going to poke a hole through just this rubber side here, feed our wire through and inside the cabin. Alright, so to put a little slice in that rubber grommet, and then cut our split loom to length there, so it ends right there at the rubber grommet. Got everything zip tied. Then top side here, that's where it comes on through. Then we have our trigger wire and our video wire. We're gonna run that all the way forward here, and we're gonna work our way up to the cavity of the radio. And you saw us feed this wire up into the tail light cavity. Here we are. After we remove the light here, we pull this wire on through. We have our trigger wire and our power and ground for the camera. So this is here and ready to go. Now, looking at our light assembly, the center light here is our reverse light. And we turn that around, there's going to be kind of this green wire and this white with a black stripe. Now, commonly with Toyotas, white with a black stripe is going to be your ground. Green's going to be your positive. So there's positive and negative for either powering your camera or a trigger wire and ground for your camera. Alright, so we've made our connections here. Now, remember, power and ground for the camera, the red and the black. Ground, we could have tried to go to that really short white with the black stripe. It's just really tight in there. So we actually just snagged this white with the black stripe. It's in parallel. It all connects together. It's all ground. So we connected our ground for our camera there. And the power wire side of a reverse light, again, depends totally on your wiring configuration. Either, if you're going to totally power the camera just off the reverse light, then you would hook the red wire right to the green guy here and solder that in. Now, in our case, again, we want to use our camera more than just in reverse because, again, this is only on when you're backing up. So, the other end of our video wire that has that little red pigtail off, that's going to connect into accessory. So we don't need this guy here because we don't want to hook this on up since the other end's going to see accessory. So we just terminated that, put a little bit of heat shrink. And for our trigger wire, we have that extra 18 gauge along the entire length that goes all the way forward to the front as well. That's the wire that we connected into the positive wire. So this is only going to see 12 volts when we put the vehicle in reverse and in reverse only. So that is power and ground. We went ahead and loomed, zip tied, taped everything up. It's good to go. At this time, for this taillight, we can get it back into the truck bed and reinstall the screws. Alright, so we're back here in the truck. It's time now to get everything reinstalled. You didn't see us remove the aftermarket radio here in order to install our wiring. We actually covered that in great detail when we install our aftermarket radio in that specific video. Now check that video on out. We'll walk you through step by step on how to pull that radio on out. Okay, so we fed our backup camera wires up into the dash cavity here. Now, we have our trigger wire, which is also just happens to be black. It's the extra length of 18 gauge wire we ran along with our video wire. And then we have the video wire itself. It was a little long, so we went ahead and put a zip tie and it bundled the additional wiring. Now, for the RCA wire here, this guy will plug into the camera input on the back of the radio, while this little guy, remember, the other end potentially could have been hooked up to the reverse light positive, but we want to use our camera more than just in reverse. So we're going to connect this into accessory power. When we built our harness adapter on our aftermarket radio, we left a little accessory wire out. It just tees into the red wire of our harness adapter. It just runs in parallel, and we're going to actually connect that here. This is only on when the key is on, hence it'll power the camera whenever the truck is running. So we can use that camera more than just in reverse. So let's go ahead and get that connected here and crimped in. Now this end's going to plug into the RC camera input, and now the last connection here is our backup camera trigger wire. Again, this connects directly to the positive wire on the reverse light, so we're going to connect that into our radio's reverse trigger wire, which in our case happens to be purple-white. Okay, that connection now has been made. So at this point of time, we can start reassembling the radio. Backup camera is working great. Okay, so at this point of time, let's go ahead and finish reassembling the dash. All right, so we got everything finished up here. Let's go ahead and put it in reverse for the backup camera. Perfect. Nice and clean image. Pull it out of reverse. There we are. Now, again, the biggest difference here, because we wired it on accessory, not just in reverse, technically the camera is still on because the key is on. So we go to camera view. We can pull up the camera when not in reverse, which is super cool. In case we're towing or we want to check the load behind us, that's a really nice option to have if your radio supports it. Now, if you want to see how we did this radio install, like we said before, we'll link that video down in the description along with quite a few other videos of installs we did on this truck. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you like what you saw. And don't forget to subscribe. We post great content on the channel all the time. We'll see you in the next video.